Hey guys, what's up? Itchla coming back to ya with another episode of Car Rides Witchla. And yeah, I am pretty drained. I mean, to say the least, I'm still dealing with frustrations about different things and, trying to figure all that out. Um, I'm kind of losing it. You know what I like? Kind of losing it. And yeah, I just don't know. Like, I'm not really sure. I woke up again this morning similar to yesterday morning, where it was like, I don't think I slept as good as yesterday, but let's check. No, I still got a 91. So I think that's tracking with like, actually, I'm sleeping pretty well, all things considered. That's for yesterday being a 96 and today being a 91, but that makes sense. I don't think today's sleep was as good as yesterday's, so that makes sense. But yeah, I do. I kind of feel like my cold is better at this point, which is good. It's kind of on track with what I would expect, so hopefully the worst of that is over. But yeah, in terms of how I'm feeling, because that's just what I feel like talking about, I don't really have any crazy concepts. I never even got a chance, sadly, to look over my all my transcripts because I'd really wanted to do that, but I never got a chance to do that. So yeah. Anyways, what is happening with me as a person? I don't know. Like I'm really I'm having to hold a lot in. It's a situation where I don't I don't think it's right that I have to hold a lot in, but when you're dealing with people who they can't and they won't accept the truth that you have to tell them, there's not really much else I can do at this point. And that's really all there is to it. Like it's I don't know, I think it's wrong. I think there's a lot of, well, I guess this is something I kind of wanted to talk about, is why does it really seem like everybody I've known kind of just treats me worse? Like, is there a reason for that? Is it just the whole like people really do just grab kindness for weakness? And how do I navigate that? Because it just seems like that. It seems like whenever I've been friends with someone or been in a relationship with someone, I'm not actually getting their best treatment, you know, despite them usually getting mine. I never really see any kind of true reciprocation or anything like that. And it's taxing. It's very taxing. So that's kind of my aimless question. I don't really have too much else to say about it, and sadly, GPT is not right here. But it just seems that way. Like when I talk to people and I talk about like they would talk about their past friendships or their past relationships and like what had transpired with them, it sounds horrible. I mean, the way they were treated, the way, it sounds horrible. And then I've come along and I'll usually give this person so much, treat them so much better, probably treat them better than anybody has before. And then I don't even get treated nicely at all. Like I get treated like terribly. How does that make any sense? Like I don't understand, and it's something I've always just been so confused about. And really what the problem is I know that you get into these certain like I mean, I personally feel like they're manipulative tactics. That's my personal impression of it. There's people that advise you to play certain tricks with people. Like, well, sometimes leave people on red, sometimes ignore people's messages for periods of time. If someone's upsetting you, ghost them for a brief period of time. And I've heard that advice, and it's just I don't want to do that. That's not in my soul or in my heart to want to have to like punish a person in that like I just don't want to do that. What I want is to be able to be myself and then have the other person reciprocate, and actually match that level of respect and empathy and, just caring nature in general. And like I said, I think I said it yesterday. I have a feeling I've been put through what I've been put through as sort of like a test because I've already established like I wouldn't be here right now, or I don't, maybe I would, but I don't think I would be here right now if it wasn't for just how much I got burned, because I probably just would have been talking to my friend or my relationship, if they had worked out. I'm pretty sure that's what I would have been doing. Like during my car ride, I would have been doing that and because that's what I used to think. I used to think, and I still do believe this, that experiencing things with other people is extremely important and it's extremely valuable to maximizing the most out of life. It just is, you know? I believe that, but what I've come to find out is like a lot of people, it's actually scary how rude they are. It's scary how cruel they can be. And it's frustrating how selfish they can be, where it's like they're not in a mutual agreement with you in that sense. They don't really see the world as like the truth, which is that, yes, I mean, it doesn't matter how much of an introvert you are, everybody ends up getting the most joy out of the social experiences that they have, you know? Everybody still wants to have good friends, even if you're an introvert. An introvert is obviously you just need alone time to recharge, but I feel like too many people misconstrue that with, well, I'm an introvert, so I don't need friends or I don't want any friends. Like, no. That's when you start to get to just really unhealthy mindsets. And it's like, even just some people believing that is incredibly toxic for the entire population, because Well, it's not true. That's first of all, but besides not being true, it just causes problems because one of those people, maybe they needed to be a friend for another person and they're not, as a result of giving up, trying to sift through all the craziness in the modern age. I've talked about that before, but that's, I don't know, the main thing is that whole thing about like, yeah, like it's just, I mean that's like always how it's been with people. Like it feels like when I get to them, I'm getting like the short end of the stick because of how people treated them in the past or something. Like I guess people do that. I guess I shouldn't really be surprised about that. It's like if somebody treated them poorly in the past and they haven't really gotten over it, they're going to just project that behavior onto the next person. But that's horrible. Like that doesn't even make any sense, and it really goes against all kinds of morals and ethics that we were supposedly taught, like at least in my case I was taught in a family that goes to church every Sunday, and you teach people to turn the other cheek and to be forgiving. That's the kind of attitude. But what are you supposed to do in a world and when you're dealing with people that will just completely take advantage of that? I don't really know. I mean, I agree with what Jesus spoke about, and I think a lot of it was very ahead of its time. I mean, it's really only within a modern civilized society that we finally see how much sense it makes, because prior to that, it still just didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like it still didn't make any sense up until like fairly recently, that idea of turning the other cheek. But now it makes sense. Now it makes a lot of sense. But I don't understand, like I know God's answer for that is, well, don't be a pushover. And I get that, but I guess I don't really understand, like, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like really, because I don't think I've ever been in a situation where it's benefited me. I feel like basically everybody I talk to does not follow those morals, or like that's just how I feel. It's very I mean it's dark, it's very dark. And I guess I'm just naive to a lot of things because of the way I was raised and the people I happen to be around. But it's, like you think that we're in the future and people try to do good, but I just haven't seen that, like I really haven't seen that at all. I've just seen people who are a mess, like really people who are just deeply a mess. And in some cases I was as well, but it's just like, I don't know. I've also changed a lot as I got older. I know people who never change. I know so many people like that. They're old, they're adults, and they still never changed or matured at all. Even in my case, I think I was a little bit behind. Again, like I said, just because I didn't have that social experience to see just how dark people could be, how easy it is for someone to just like stab you in the back. I mean, it's just stuff that I don't know, like I've never done that to someone before. You know, like it's just never happened. I wouldn't get any enjoyment out of that. But, you know, there's some people where it comes so easy for them, like they just lie, you know, and they don't really feel anything about it. They just lie, and they basically lie all the time as they please. You know, there's people like that, and there's people who do hurtful things and they just do them, and they don't really have much of a guilt about it or whatever. And I just I don't know, but it brings me to this point here and now. It brings me here to where this is just what I'm thinking about. Like, why has what happened to me happened to me? And I I actually was talking about it recently on a walk switch law. I really think the main difference is just that it's my skill around time and scheduling. You know, it just is, because, and for me, like, I've really always wanted to maximize, and a lot of other people would rather, like, not. Like, I don't really know where their motives are at in life, or kind of like what they want to be doing in life, but I think, you know, for me, like, if I had 6 hours, I would just want to spend them with a person, because why would I do anything else? Like, that doesn't really make any sense. Why, if I could be there for somebody and we would both have more fun by socializing. And then, but like another person, if they have 6 hours, they might just want to talk for 3, and then they just might want to like scroll on their phone for 3. And I know, in truth, I know that I'm right. I know that just is not. I mean, and I guess I have to be like, you can't really be invalidating to that type of person, but it is true that there's not really any reason anybody should want to do that. Like, and I mean, it really depends on how you use the phone, but most people, I actually think everybody I ever knew never used their phone for any good. And they always just started like playing a game or just scrolling on Instagram, from what I remember. And so it's like, why is that good? Why is that necessary? I mean, even while I'm talking to people sometimes, and that would really tick me off, but people would come up with all kinds of excuses. You know, someone I knew, oh, well, I have ADHD, so I have to be scrolling on Instagram while we talk. I can't give you 100% attention because that's just how I am. I don't even know if they were diagnosed, by the way. I mean, maybe they were, but they may have not been diagnosed. And so, yeah, it's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand how that should be socially acceptable to, like, you're having a conversation with somebody and they're just casually scrolling on Instagram. It's wrong. It's rude. There's something deeply rude about it. And a lot of people seem to be gravitating towards these inanimate things, and it's like very scary to me. It's very stressful for me. I I always like, I mean, well, actually, the older I've gotten, the less I've even played video games. I mean, now there's days where I don't even play, it's like days go by, weeks have gone by. I even think months have gone by without me playing a video game. I usually only play a video game when it's a social thing, when it's with another person, then I'll play a video game, right? But when I'm by myself, like I don't really play games. I don't really get what the point is. I'm usually just trying to be available for other people, whether it would be texting or calling, because that it's a higher form of an activity. It is. And I know GPT, yes, to some people, they might get more enjoyment out of playing a video game than socializing. And I can't really invalidate that, but I really want to see and some agreement on that there is kind of this clear. I feel like there is a clear superiority. I mean, when you socialize with someone, you can really touch a living being in such a way. When you just play a video game by yourself, it's like you're not really doing anything for anybody, like it's kind of sad. It's actually kind of a cold activity, not to mention, especially with a lot of the popular competitive games, you're probably just causing a lot of people frustration. Like you're not even really putting out good energy into the world. You might be causing somebody rage. You might be causing people sadness with like how you're playing the game. I mean, there's all kinds of just like weird things that can happen as a result of that. So, I don't know, does that make sense though? Because I guess that's what I need to be watching for is how, and I feel like I'm correct though, because like I always try to figure out what's the best thing and what would be better. And I understand that you have to take individual validation into account, and there are some people that would rather just watch YouTube for 5 hours than talk to anybody. But where do we draw the line between what's better behavior and what's not? You know? And I really don't want GPT to just come up with this balance thing, because I don't really think that is like a good. I don't really think that makes any sense, honestly. Like I think that if there was a balance and it was like somebody took alone time but they didn't do anything, like they didn't go on Instagram or TikTok and they were in silence, they thought about things. That would be different. I mean, I can really respect that, because that's actually something that most people don't do and was relatively needed and is relatively needed for mental health, you know? Um, but now, people don't even. They don't even ever have that opportunity because there's always so much noise in their face. So it's very difficult for me to respect somebody doing that. Like, I don't know, especially if they're my friend. And then, I mean, here's where it gets really deep, but, I understand it, or it makes sense to me. It's, when your friend or your relationship, they're doing things like having a horrible sleep schedule. Well, we know that if they had a good sleep schedule, that then they would be able to treat you better. Like, we know that that's true. We know that that's true. It's so clearly documented. I can't tell you the amount of people that argue with me about sleep, or they just don't do anything about it. They don't care about it. And it's crazy to me because getting good quality sleep, it's definitely going to affect how you treat your significant other or your friend, you know? Sorry, that's kind of off topic from what I was saying. But yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to respect people who, like, you know, you put a phone in front of them and they're just like intoxicated by scrolling. Like, it's just like, really. I mean, what you can do with the people you can touch, you know, that you can touch emotionally, you could really make somebody's day like a real person. And instead, you just want to zone out and basically like selfishly serve yourself up supper. I feel like it's actually very like disgusting when you think about it because it's called your feed. I mean that the second I thought about this during a car ride with Schla, or at least within the 1 to 2 year. Isn't that not like disgusting? It's literally called that. It's called your feed. You know, it's like your consumption. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. Like, I don't know. But I can't really get over it. Like that's really how things are. It's disgusting. So, yeah, I mean, and I guess some humans that is kind of what they see, and I've heard of that too, where you know, you have a relationship and it's just like you're both sitting in the same room, but you're just both on TikTok, like in your own feed, and then that's it. And like, you know, maybe you're watching a show together, but you're also both on TikTok, and it's like you don't really remember. Like, I mean, I guess that is how some relationships are now, and I guess they work, but to me, like that's not good. Like there's something wrong with that. And I mean, how much do I have to be accepting of a person's feelings about it before it's like, no, like that doesn't make sense. You know, when am I able to say that? Like, no. You know, let's actually watch the show together. Right? Like let's put the phones down. When am I allowed to say that? Am I just never allowed to say that cuz it's I mean, I can't understand a person who would dream of something like that where you're in a relationship and there's just chronic phone use around the other person all the time. That just it doesn't make any sense to me. And there's no way that that's good for the brain. I can't. So when we loop back around to it, I guess that's what my question is for GPT. It's like, where is there a line between respecting another person but calling out behavior that's unhealthy? And you know, I do think it's pretty clear that that degree of phone use is unhealthy. And you even think about it too. I mean, if you're dating somebody and they have an average time on TikTok of like 5 hours a day of scrolling throughout the day versus somebody who has zero, I think you could actually make a pretty good judgment call on who would be a better person to be in a relationship with. You know, if somebody's not, now, of course, yeah, the person with zero could have another addiction. But my point is it's like, it's not a good sign. You know, it's not a good sign that somebody would be on that and using it. Because you can kind of figure, well, they're probably kind of lazy, you know, like, or they're lazier, probably. Now, not always, so I guess, you know, there's that too. I'm trying to work on my speaking in discussions, because again, sometimes I just have that habit of just saying things, but I know like I know there's nuance to things in my head, and I think it in my head, but it's exhausting to always preface that. But then when GPT hears it, and I guess when other people hear it, they may think some type of way about it. So I'm trying to be less affirmative, although in personal conversations and arguments, that's probably going to that's going to end up not really working out for me, because people are going to see that as weakness, and oh, why should I listen to him if he's not even sure about what he's saying, because a lot of people pull that. But like I said, I really don't care. I'm very tired of having to cater to people. That's all I have to do my whole life, and it's like I just want to be able to be nice and not have that taken for granted, not have my kindness taken as weakness. I want to be able to say things in a correct way, and not to have to be like censored and like shortened, and I just don't have time for it anymore, like but I'm still restricted to it on a constant basis, so but and I'm trying to think where I was going with all this. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's so difficult for me to wrap my head around that. It is. But the main thing I was going to get to, sorry I never got to, we probably have enough time, but I will be at work fairly soon, is the time management thing. I mean, my time management and my ability to prioritize and remember what time it is absurd. Like I've always been that way. Like most people are just not conscious or cognizant of time. They're just not. And I'm a person who's very like optimized, so like I get all the stuff I need to get done quickly, and then I have a lot of free time, because why wouldn't I do that? Like that was always how I thought. So I would always optimize, like, and I wouldn't have that much to do. Like, I don't know, I just never did. And so I was always like ready to have fun with people. And then everybody else, it's like they have chores to do that they've been procrastinating. They got this to do, they got that to do that they've been procrastinating, and then it's like, oh well, my mom's mad at me because I haven't cleaned the dishes yet, so now I have to do that, when it's like that could have already been done while I was busy. But you see what I'm like, I always optimize time wise, and I would barely ever have like things to do when it was another person's time. But then other people would always be like that with me. They'd just be like, I don't even know what they would be busy with or doing, or like even personal things that they probably had to get done. People always do them in like a very disorganized and poorly timed way. And that's something that I've dealt with in any relationship with anybody, and that's why I mentioned, like, it feels like I'm just always waiting for people, and how it's not healthy. It's really not healthy to feel that way. Like, to feel like I'm always ready, like I'm always here, and other people, it's like, oh, I forgot I had to do this. Oh, I have to do this. Oh, you have to wait. You have to wait. You have to wait. And I'm like always waiting. So I have a lot of patience. I feel like I have a lot of patience. It's just that to me, it feels disrespectful because of all the timing with it or whatever. Because it's like the timing, I see that as like a major respect. Like, is somebody making the time to meet me or see me, or, to me that shows care, it shows respect. And most people, especially nowadays, I mean, they're just absolutely horrible when it comes to timing and deadlines and things like that. And I mean, it's going to have to come to some kind of reckoning at some point, because you can't just have a society like that where it's like people are being late for things left and right, and there's never really a consequence. And I mean, it's crazy. I really do believe that. It's craziness. I actually got to work pretty quickly, all things considered. I've been getting here pretty fast. Um, yeah, I don't know why I'm like saying that like that, but anyways. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the difference, is it's just been a major gap in time management. And most people would have probably prioritized that time management for like money and for making money. But in my case, like, I didn't do that. You know, for me, it wasn't about money. It was always about, um, just like interactions with other people, I guess. So, but that's just me. I do think that, though. I think most people in my kind of situation, they probably would just use their thoughts or their effort or their energy for like money and for themselves and for their career, their time management. For me, it was always people. Like, I was using my time management for people, and it's like, I don't really know what else to say about that, because it's like I'm not trying to be any type of way. Um, I'm not trying to be any type of way about it. What am I even talking about? um, yeah, I'm not trying to, but it's just how I am. Like, I never really, money. The money thing just seemed, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I'm tired. It's been oh, it's time to buy schla. So, see you, schla.